Growing a successful business has never been easy. But whether you're navigating a complex industry or trying to reinvent one, our breadth of banking experts are here to collaborate on market-proven solutions. At KeyBank, we're built to grow with your changing needs because we're not just here for the business you are now, we're here for the business you'll become. Reimagine business as usual. KeyBank opens doors. Learn more at key.com/B2B.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome, everybody, to Age of Jeremy. If you are new to this podcast, my name is Jeremy, and this is a show all about my business ventures and side quests. Again, I'm a multi-millionaire entrepreneur with such businesses as 3T Warrior Academy, Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, which I'm going to come back to in a second, and also Age of Radio, where I have another show called Mercury, a show about podcasting and pop culture news, which is great because I just got back from filming a bunch of stuff and doing a bunch of live broadcasting from WonderCon in Anaheim, California. So you should go check that out on the Mercury YouTube. So just go to YouTube, type in Mercury by Age of Radio, and it should pop up. Had a great time out there, and then went over to Disneyland and California Adventure. Got back last night, and I'm excited to be here for this conversation that I'm going to have with Lucy from I Love Lucy Sweet Treats. And again, the conversation segment is where I try to find entrepreneurs to come up and talk to me about the journey that they are going through starting their business. And I work out at LA Fitness, and that's where I met Lucy. She has a pop-up there where she sells her cakes and cookies and other pastries and all kinds of sweet treats. And that's why it's called I Love Lucy Sweet Treats, is what my guess is. But I'm going to talk to her about that today. Before I bring her up, again, this specific show is brought to you by Merlin, the smartest way to track, analyze, and optimize your crypto portfolio. With Merlin, you can connect your wallets and exchanges in seconds and instantly see your entire portfolio in one clean, powerful dashboard. You can also track performance across every asset, understand your gains and losses in real time, and uncover insights that most investors miss. So no more jumping between apps, no more spreadsheets. You just get clarity. Merlin is built for investors who want to move smarter with advanced analytics, intuitive design, and the tools you need to stay ahead in a fast-moving market, especially with our exit strategy builder. So whether you're holding, trading, or scaling your portfolio, Merlin can give you the visibility, and you can create exit targets to exit and create profit for yourself along the way up, so you don't become someone else's exit liquidity. So make sure that you start your journey today by visiting merlincrypto.com and experience the smartest way to track your crypto. And again, that is merlincrypto.com. Now, that being out of the way, let's jump in and bring Lucy up onto the show so that we can learn about I Love Lucy's Sweet Treats.
Howdy.
Hi, Lucy. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm a little tired because we got in from California last night at around 5:30 or 6, and then after I unpacked everything, then I had a bunch of other work to do. So I am just getting back into the groove of things, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity to talk with you. To get us started here, Lucy, when I had met you, or I started talking to you about trying to get on the show, which it took us forever for us to kind of get this to
Yes.
work, because I kept canceling, and then you were away, and then I was away.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned that you kind of like were going about your life, and then you were doing this, and then you just made the decision to stop working and making this a full-time thing and going all in on this. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. Why did you decide to do it that way, or did it start before that and then grow into you just doing it full time? That's kind of what I want to understand, where you were at in your life when you decided to make that jump.
Yeah, well, actually, it kind of started, funny enough, with LA Fitness and the gym. I mean, I had my own, work that I was doing from home, like customer service and, mom and wife and all the duties that come with it. So I was just like, with me, like my love language is to like always to like give or to feed people. That's my love language. So, everybody at the gym, we've been there for many, many years. And it was just, kind of like, hey, thank you guys so much for being so nice. Everybody at that gym is like super kind. So it just started off with like super small, like little things. I would like bring donuts or I would make food and just take it to everybody. So little by little, I just started making like cookies. And then everybody's like, well, you should sell these. And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, I guess I never thought I was that awesome, but they saw something that I guess I didn't see in myself. So little by little, they're like, oh, we'll let you have a pop-up here. And I'm like, okay. So it kind of snowballed very fast. I really didn't think about it. I'm just like, okay, because I was still working my job and I was doing this on the side. So I was just like, oh, it'll be fun. And then before you knew it, I was just like, okay, I hate my job. I hate what I'm doing. So let's stress out and make cookies all the time.
Yeah, which is what, I find a lot of people that I talk to, and even for myself and my business partner, that's kind of like what he ended up doing. He just kind of like quit his corporate job, and then we started our very first business, JV Impacts, which is what is now 3T Warrior Academy. So I do find that a lot of entrepreneurs have that, and a lot of entrepreneurs also have that feeling that they don't want to be working for some, like, people get stuck in a thing that they hate, and then they
Yeah.
find a thing that they love or something that they're good at, and then they kind of want to do that full time, and then they kind of take the plunge. To talk about I Love Lucy's Sweet Treats. So what are all of you said it started with cookies, but what are all of the things that go, like, what are all of the types of pastries and cakes that you do? And do you also do like take commissioned orders, I guess would be the best way to say it, or orders for specific cakes, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I pretty much started off with cookies, just very small stuff. So then, I started doing research with me, like when I like something, whether it's, painting something or an outfit or what have you, I obsess. That's all I think about. That's all I think about. I sleep, I dream, everything. I obsess. And so it just like became this obsession for me. It's just like, okay, what if I do this and what if I do that? And I would go online, like look up recipes and I would try stuff. I'm like, oh, that's awful. Or I would have my family try it. Or I would literally go around the gym giving people samples. Like I would bring it like a little baggie and I'm like, oh, do you want to try this? Or do you want to try that? So like everybody was my guinea pig. And I think I was driving everybody crazy, like in my family, like, can please everybody try this? Let me know. And with me, it's so personal because I love the reaction, how people like get whenever they try something. I've always like found so much pride in like watching people like eat something that I've made or something that I'm doing and how it makes them feel. I feel like I almost get like a high from it. I don't know how, if like that sounds weird, but I just love it.
Did you know how to bake stuff before? Like, or was it just like a few things that you were good at, and then you kind of like learned how to do other like pastries and sweets?
So funny enough, I wasn't great at it and I just kind of like, okay, because it's like I kind of half-assed it. I'm not gonna lie. I just kind of like, well, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this the right way. And I want people to like really like get a feel of like what I'm making, and it's just like something that I can put my name out on it. Like, somebody like, oh man, her stuff is awful. And I didn't want that. So I had to do a lot of research. There was a lot of trial and error. But I mean, many years ago, I was like that person that always wanted to bring like the cookies and the sweets over to like family events. And at some point, I was making like really awful stuff. I was like making cookies that were like hard as rocks. And my poor family was just like, yay, like we'll eat it, but maybe not. But I mean, I wasn't really trying. I wasn't taking pride in it. But now it's like completely different. But yeah, I mean, I would make stuff like I love to cook. I come from a family that always cooks, and that's how we show love. Like my mom's a great cook. My sisters are great cooks. My grandmother was an amazing cook. So everybody in my family has always been like very like deep into like the kitchen and doing stuff, but like nobody really did sweets. Like, you know, my mom has never been like a sweet person. So I really never got to have like pancakes or anything like that growing up. My mom was like very like, no, we're gonna have food. Food was never like a quick like, oh, let's go to McDonald's or let's do this. It was like very like, no, homemade food was the only food that she saw as like food. So I grew up that way. So as an adult, like getting to experience stuff that had a little bit of sugar in it was just like, oh, I like this. So it kind of like snowballed later on in life where I'm just like, okay, I love this. I'm gonna try different things. And some things I did great and some things I'm just like, no, that's not for me. But I mean, it's a journey that has been kind of like roller coaster where I'm just like, am I really loving this or am I just doing this because people like it? I don't know, but I really do love it.
Yeah. So talk to me about like how did your family react to it? So you're married.
Yes.
You told me a little bit before this, you have two children, one's in their 20s and the other one's just turned 16.
Mm.
How was there? So, you know, obviously if you're married, you're not the only breadwinner, I'm assuming. Like
Hmm.
you were both,
Yeah.
you know, working and had money and were doing the expenses and things like that. So from like how did your family react to the fact that you were going to step out of, you know, your career or your job and just go into doing this full time?
Well, my husband was super supportive. He's always been really supportive because this is actually now my first like business venture that I've like decided to go on. Like I used to do prior to COVID, I used to do makeup. I used to do like weddings and all kinds of stuff. So I've always been into one thing or another. Ever since we got married, like I'm just like, oh, I want to do nails. Oh, I want to do makeup, or I want to do like I used to decorate like bedazzle stuff. So he's known that I've always been like, you know what? He says this like, "Hey, you know what I was thinking?" When he hears that those words come out of my mouth, he's like, "Uh-oh, how much is this going to cost me? What are we doing?" So he already knows. It's like, "Hey, you know what I was thinking?" But he knows that whatever I come up with, it's going to make us money. It's not going to just be like something where I'm just going to be like, "Well, and not like it in 2 weeks." You know, a little ADHD in there where you just like obsess for it just for a little bit and then later on you're like, "No, so this is different. It's very different, but he's been so supportive since day one.
So how long has this one been going on? When did you start this?
So I would say I'm probably a good like year and a half into it. At the very first, it was just kind of like small little things here and there, but now like it's like full on. Like on the weekends, I have cake orders, or I'm just doing. I try to keep busy, but also most of my clientele are people from the gym where they're like, "Hey, tomorrow, do you think I could have a dozen of these cookies?" I'm like, "Yep, I got it. I'll bring it in tomorrow." So it's like pretty much every day I'm doing an order for one person or another.
Do you find that it's counterproductive doing it at the gym, or do you think that it's better doing it at the gym because everybody's like losing the count? They're probably hungry as they're leaving the gym, depending on what
Yeah.
they did, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get these sweet treats." Or do you find that people don't want to buy them because they're trying to diet and lose weight?
Well, you get a little bit of both. You get people that are like, "Oh man, like I can't believe you're doing this." But, the reality in things is like we're all going to the gym because we want to better ourselves. And most of the time it's like we want to have these things that, we enjoy, like a little cookie or a cake, but also be like, "Okay, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to kick butt, but I'm also going to go ahead and, reward myself with a little cookie and say, you know what, it doesn't have to be all like I guess like one way. You can have a little bit of both. And I always tell people that when you buy cookies from me at the gym, they're guilt free because you bought them at the gym. So calories don't count.
Right, right. That's a good marketing ploy there, right there.
Yeah.
That's really smart. So so the main page that you have, it looks like, is your Instagram. Is that correct?
Yes,
So
correct.
people can reach out to you on Instagram to place an order. I guess I called it
Correct.
a commission earlier. I guess an order would be the more appropriate thing to say.
Yes.
So they can do an order, and then you created all of these that are here. Is there
Correct.
anywhere else that people can find you except for on social media?
I'm also on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm not too active on my Facebook. I need to be a little bit more active when it comes to Facebook. But yeah, I'm also on Facebook. And
Yeah.
I'm working on possibly getting a website going, but there's a lot that goes into it. So we'll see how that goes. You know, if I have a little time to be able to, some time to invest into it, which I need to grow my business. But yeah, I'm available on Instagram and Facebook.
So obviously this wasn't your first like side hustle type of thing, because there's things that you've been interested in that you've been doing, but this is the one like main big push that you've done outside of, having your career or another job. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So with this, Lucy, how did you, being an entrepreneur and trying to come up with a brand here, like how did you come up with the idea for the heart? Because it's kind of like a heart cookie for like this logo here. Is that and it's having a bite out of it. Did you create this, or what was the process that you went through to try to start creating this I Love Lucy's Sweet Treats brand?
Yeah, well, actually, I didn't create that. I've had so much like help and good friends that, have seen that potential in me that they're like, "Hey, I'll help you. I'll do this, I'll do that." So my very good friend Juan is actually the one that helped me with my original logo. He's like, "Hey, let me help you out with, this." And he's like a whiz like on Canva and doing different things. Like with me, like, I'm a millennial over here and I'm just like, "How do you work this? How do you do that?" And my kids laugh at that, but I'm just like, okay, I'll figure it out. But he helped me out so much in trying to figure out the logo, and that's what I originally had. And if it's totally up, credit is due to my friend Juan, that he's amazing, and he helped me out with no questions asked. Didn't ask for payment other than me saying I'll make cookies for you. But other than that, that's how it came to be.
That's awesome. And that's one of the things that I find a lot too, even like in my own journeys, starting businesses and having multiple businesses. A lot of the times that your friends, they want to see you succeed and they're willing to help you out in certain areas. And most of the time they'll do it just to be a part of the thing that you're creating, as far as offering something to you, or in your case, getting cookies over to someone. Something like this, though, like this is beautiful here. This is one of the ones that I like. The Galentine girlies. So you decorated this cake.
Correct.
So how long does something like that take? And did you have frosting skills like at the beginning, or was it like something that you had to learn along the way?
I didn't have very good frosting skills. It's all been, trial and error, and a lot of things looking very ugly and very questionable. And my family just being like, "Wow, that looks awful." I'm like, "Thank you so much." But I appreciate their feedback. I don't want people to be like, "Bravo, like do great." Like I know how to take like constructive criticism pretty good. I'd like to think. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I do get like my feelings a little hurt, but as long as I can keep growing from it instead of getting stuck in a like, "Oh man, someone didn't like my thing." It's like, no, I like to ask people like, "What do you think about it? Like, what can I improve?" Like, it's all about improving in what I'm doing. I never want to get stuck in that, "Oh, I know it all." And I just don't want to get stuck like that, because I feel like when people get stuck, you're not growing. And I'm all for, growing and getting people's opinions on it, which some people have told me like you shouldn't take everybody's opinions on it. But I mean, everything like a grain of salt. But I appreciate people telling me when I can improve or do something different. But I'm always researching stuff on how I can improve on things. But yeah, it's been
What is
fun.
something that with being this first venture with you, when you and I had talked, like you did the pop-up at LA Fitness, and then when I was talking to you on Instagram a little bit about an idea that I had to get vendors for like a comic convention or something along those lines. A lot of the places you do is like to like pop-up areas, or to like farmers markets types of things where you can have a booth, or is because that's the main way that you're trying to get out there besides your social media, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct.
So what has been some of the difficulties doing that, and what have you had to learn along the way to make you successful going out there and vendoring?
Well, I've had some events that I really haven't sold a whole lot, but I think, I had a particular event at another gym, But when we decided to do it, it was competition season. So when people are, in competition season, they're not
They're
doing any soups whatsoever.
definitely not eating anything
Yes.
outside of their
So that was
diet.
a little tough for me, but I went out there and I gave samples, I gave out business cards, and I always say, you know what? Even if I came out here and five people bought something, but at least I'm marketing. I am like, talking to people, and I feel like a conversation with someone goes so much further than selling sometimes like a cookie. If someone can remember me by being like, hey, she had a conversation with me, she asked me how I was doing, and it's more than just a sale. I feel like it's so much more important than here's your cookie, go away. No, I like to have these relationships with people. Like it's like, oh, remembering, it's like, oh, so and so likes this cookie, and like, hey, I brought you what you like. So I feel like that's so important, and just making these connections with people is just so important to me.
Yeah. Do you find do you try to keep like lists of people or like a customer database to reach back out to them to try to see if they're doing it, or do you just take like new orders as they come in, or is there other marketing efforts that you do?
I don't do a whole lot of marketing like that. I mean, it's pretty much just people I see like, hey, what did you think? Did you like it? When do you let me know when you want to place a new order? But I should be able to like, come up with like a system that I'm able to reach out to people and like say, hey, when do you want another order? I just don't like to be pushy in that like,
Yeah.
aspect where people are like, wow, she's like really trying to upsell me because I don't want to do that. I want people to reach out to me whenever they're, in the market for it. But I mean, either way, but I could get better at marketing stuff.
One of the things that I find, there's always moments when I'm working in a business, because I've had businesses that haven't succeeded and I've had other ones that have succeeded. But in all of them, there's always moments where I'm like, do I really want to be doing this? Or it gets really, really tough. Have you ever gone through one of those moments? And what advice would you have for someone who's in one of those moments to kind of keep moving their business forward?
Yeah, I actually did. At the very beginning, when I was trying new recipes, I was kind of like overwhelming myself because I wasn't preparing how I needed to. So, at one of the very first events where I was selling cinnamon rolls, I didn't prep them enough and with like enough time. So they weren't ready to go by the time I needed to be at the event. So I had
Mm,
a full blown like meltdown, and I'm like yelling, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, am I really wanting to do this? And I'm just
yeah.
like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I just let that like little bit of time, like, or like that like mess up that I was doing kind of like, I guess, determine whether I was gonna be successful at it that day. But I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna let one little bump in the road kind of like put me back to like, oh, I don't want to do this. So it was more like, okay, I need to plan better. I need to be more organized and kind of like reevaluate like what I'm doing instead of like being so hard on myself. Because that day I was very hard on myself. I was full on tears, crying.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest to people is like really like plan things out, because sometimes I'm like a wing it kind of girl, but I needed to have like that little bit of structure where it's just like, no, you need to be prepared so you don't have this happen. And if it happened, okay, let's just move on with it. Like you're not gonna sit there and dwell on what things that you did wrong. All you can do is just like, okay, what can I do better next time? That's pretty much how I would tell someone if they were in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's great. One of the other things too about businesses is there's a lot of like there's the thing that you're doing, like the service aspect of it, where you're doing the baking, and then there's like the other business aspects of it. And I know that you said like the main stuff that you do is you go out and do the vendor events. You've been going to the gyms and things of that nature. Has there been other things that you've had to learn from a business aspect, like keeping books, or do you just kind of like keep all this in a separate bank account? Do you have this set up as an LLC, or what are some of the other business things that are apart from the actual baking of the goods and selling them? Have you had to kind of get good at over this year and a half?
Yeah, getting good with the numbers and what I'm spending. Because to me, it's like, oh, I'm spending for the business. I can go crazy, and it's just like, no, 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 you can't be overspending more than what you're making, because it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, I've had to get a separate business account just so I can make sure that I'm not spending more than what I'm bringing in, instead of spending like, my husband's money per se. So I needed to like, really separate that, because at some point it was just like, oh yeah, it's like a free for all. So I really needed to be better at like tracking stuff and, going to, say, for example, Costco, and like, okay, I can only spend this amount from the business account, and keeping track of all my purchases.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you had to adjust things like in your personal finances to make sure that like some of that stuff isn't like colluding, like I guess meshing together and finding out what profit you've been having from the treats, or is it not like, because I know sometimes when you're a small business, it's just kind of like, okay, well, I'm building this, I have the money in there. It's not getting to the point where I'm like meticulously looking at everything.
Yeah.
But have you had to look at the finances differently in any way, being an entrepreneur now or having the small business as it relates to like your personal finances?
You know what? It really hasn't. Like I said, I have a really good support system with my husband. He's just like, I'll take care of the rest. You kind of do your thing, and if there's like a profit then that we can take a cut out of, then we can do that. But other than that, it's just like it's gonna take a little bit until you grow. So
Yeah.
he's been really supportive, and like I'll take care of the other end.
Yeah. So for the growing aspect of it, what are your plans to kind of grow I Love Lucy Sweet Treats into the future, like say over the next 3 to 5 years? Do you foresee yourself having your own store, or is it just going to be focusing on like more of the pop-up events and the vendor events and the word of mouth?
I would love to do like a catering type of thing, have, people working for me and doing catering events like weddings, quinceañeras, like any sort of like event. That's what I would like to do, not so necessarily so much like a storefront.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would really love to get into catering and having like this big, thing that I can share with a ton of people and not just like in one store.
Yeah. Out of all of the treats that you have, if someone was to see, like, do you carry some of the same types of stuff at every event? So, like, if someone like came to LA Fitness or whatever, or saw you at an event, would there be something that you would recommend to them that's like your favorite thing that you make? And do you keep that on hand, or do the treats kind of change?
They can change depending on the season. Like during the holidays, I will do a lot of holiday themed stuff, like a lot of pumpkin stuff. But I change it up because I like to people to ask me like, "Oh, do I have that?" I'm like, "Nope, next time I will." So keep an eye on it. So kind of keep people like wanting more a little bit. So just switch things up. Also keep people not being bored of the same flavors. But most of like the staple stuff that people do ask me for, like regular chocolate chip, I keep those all the time. But depending on events, I will bring out like different items. It just depends on the event type that we're having.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing that you've baked?
Oh my gosh, there's just so many because
Yeah.
obviously making all this stuff, you have to try it all.
Yeah.
And if I'm not trying it, it's just like I have to like it. To me, for me to put it out for people to try to buy, I have to like it. And if I don't like it, then I can't put my name out there. I can't go and like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, and I hate it. I can't do that. My
Yeah.
face will not let me do that. So I would say my favorite ones that I've made are the Dubai chocolate cookie. That one's delicious. I love making that. People love it. Dubai chocolate is big right now. But just a regular, what is it? A oatmeal cookie with chocolate chips in it. That's
Mhm.
my jam.
Yeah.
Or just very simple, like a macadamia cookie with a little orange zest on it. I love that. But, it's not one particular thing that I like. I like a little bit of everything. And, I can't say that I just want one thing.
One thing.
Yeah.
When I see you at the one thing that I love was I think it was a pretzel. Was it a pretzel that you had? You've had
Yes.
pretzels, right? Yeah, your pretzels were really, really good. That was,
Pretzels
and I
with
love
cheese.
pretzels, so I know that that's not like maybe a sweet treat, but it's still a treat. And
Yes.
I loved it. When when I see you at LA Fitness, you usually have your husband's there with you, and then I think it's your daughter that's sometimes sitting by the table. Like,
Yes.
does she inspire to like do this type of thing, or to be like an entrepreneur? Like, is this inspiring her in any capacity? For you having done this and stepping out of your your 9 to 5 job and doing something like this?
Oh yeah, she loves it. I mean, she's always the one to help me out with everything. I mean, she'll complain every once in a while, like, "Oh, mom, I gotta help," but she's there. She sees everything that I'm doing, and she knows that her mom will make it work one way or another. If we're having a birthday party for her, like, you know what, we're not buying it, mom's gonna make it. So she sees that I'm just like, no, I'll figure it out. I do it. So she's very much on the we're gonna do something like that, and I'm gonna do something where I don't have to, clock in the 9 to 5. She's already telling me, being so young, exactly what she wants to do. She wants to, do hair and go to school. I mean, I think it's very rare for a child being so young to know exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Most kids are just like, well, I'm not sure. But yeah, she's loving it so far, watching me do everything. Like I said, she helps me. So I think it's definitely inspiring for her.
That's awesome. Well, Lucy, thank you so much for jumping on and having this conversation with me today. If someone wants to reach out to you, again, I think that we mentioned it already, but the Instagram and the Facebook, can they just DM you, or is there a phone number on there that they can reach out to you to put in an order? And when is the next place, or when is the next, I guess, pop-up or the next event that you're having?
Yeah, so the best way to reach me would be Instagram. Sometimes Instagram, if you don't know this person, it'll like send you like a I think a message that is like a hidden message. So I try to check those quite often in case I'm getting someone that I don't know. So yeah, best way, or Facebook, or yeah, I have my phone number also available if anybody asks for it. And then the next pop-up that we're going to be doing is here for 420. I am joining some of the vendors with a smoke shop to be doing a, all, cookies and different stuff that we're putting on the menu, but that's going to be my next event.
That's cool. Are you going to be doing marijuana inside of the treats as well?
No.
No, it's going to be completely separate. Yeah.
Just separate.
I guess maybe you can't do that.
No.
I don't know.
No, that would be frowned upon with the state of Arizona.
You don't want to do that in Arizona.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely not, for the record.
That's really cool. Which smoke shop is it going to be at? Do you remember?
It's called Holy Smokes.
Okay. Yeah. Where's that?
Definitely.
Where's that at?
They have a few different locations, but I believe it's over on 51st Avenue in Peoria. I could be wrong on that location, but once I have the flyer ready to go, I put all the places that I'm going to be at on my Instagram so people can follow along. But I mean, the people that we work with at the smoke shop are amazing. The guy, that owner, TJ, he's literally the best. He's very welcoming. And he was actually the very first pop-up that I did other than the gym. And he's like, always giving me like business ideas, and he's a really, really nice guy. So it's really nice, joining a team that, really puts you out there and it lets other people know about you. So I really love that.
Yeah. I have my friend Chuck and his partner Bree. They have a company called Kyler and Kira, and they make like roach clips that have like beads on the end of them that kind of like, you can hold it kind of like a pin, but then it has a roach clip.
Okay.
And like, kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with candy, like raving candy. It's like the bracelets that have like the beads. So they're like that, but they're on like a stick like this, and like a thinner than this, but then they have a roach clip on it. So they do a lot of pop-up events, and they do a lot of smoke shops. And then I think I mentioned to you, my friend Alex has a backyard barbecue. They do like beef jerky. And I know when I followed you on Instagram, I saw that he also follows you. So my guess is that somewhere you guys cross paths.
That's so funny. Yeah. We meet so many people like throughout these events where you're just like, hey, like I love to pick people's brains. Like, hey, what are you doing? What are you using this? And as you can see right now, I'm a chatty Cathy, and I love to like, just get into people's like brains and like, what are you doing? And it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Lucy, I appreciate you. Everybody, make sure that you follow Lucy on Instagram at I Love Lucy's Sweet Treats. And again, this has been an episode of Conversations with Jeremy on the Age of Radio podcast. And Lucy, thank you so much for joining me. And as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind. And we'll talk with everybody soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
We are MMS Inspirational. We are a faith-based, music-focused podcasts created by producer Ronald Tyke Oliver. MMS Inspirational Podcast is the place to be inspired, encouraged, meditate, unwind, relax, reflect, and enjoy the goodness of God's Word and positive messages through amazing music. Listen to us on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. Check out MMS Inspirational and be blessed.
Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in.